welcome you to the program. Today we'll be going through Genesis chapter 23. It's a sad chapter. It's a chapter that we will be studying more about the death of Sarai. So today Sarah has died at an age of about 127 years. That will make Abraham about, if you do the math plus 10, they sort of, started living together when Sarah was about, there was an age difference of about 10. So it will make Abraham about 137 years old, and Isaac would be about 37 years old. We can do a little bit of math based upon Genesis 17 and chapter 17. So we find them living at this point in Hebron, near the family, actually near the familiar area of Mamre. We studied about Mamre in Genesis 20. We're going to study a bit of that in detail in 1 to 2. Now, Mamre is about 20 miles south of what would become Jerusalem today. And after Abraham, after Sarah died, Abraham mourned for his wife. And after that, he sort of approached the Hittite people of the area, and he did that so that he can request for a burying place for his wife. Now, the Hittites would be the descendants of Noah's grandson Canaan. If you remember Canaan, a very interesting character, making them part of the original Canaanites. Abraham, he presented himself to them as a foreigner and a sojourner. A sojourner is somebody who temporarily lives in a place. Whenever you see the word sojourn in the Bible, it literally means temporal, living in a place temporarily. Dwelling, on the other hand, means to live there more of a permanently or for a very long time. So he did request that they give him a piece of property, to use, as a burial place for his wife, Sarah. Their response was kind of gracious, as we're going to study. These guys know Abraham pretty much well, actually. They've been with him. They've heard a lot about him. In fact, one of the things we're going to be saying is that they call him a prince of God among them. Abraham was a foreigner, without a doubt. He was quite a wealthy man, and he was clearly blessed by God in all that he actually did. So, the Hittites of the area seem to have regarded him as a friend, as we're going to study in Genesis 23, verses 3 to 6. So, in fact, the Hittites of Abraham, the choice of any of their tombs to bury his dead wife. However, Abraham is he knows what he wants. So he wants something very specific. He doesn't want some sort of a general place where where they will also bury in some sort of a general tomb or a government tomb or a public tomb. No, he wants something that is so private, something that is only his and for his family and probably all his descendants. So he wants Abraham wants to establish a permanent family burial place of his own land here in Canaan. He wants to acquire a piece of property that would belong to him and only him alone. And so he doesn't want some sort of a shared tomb or a shared burial place. And he makes it pretty clear to them what he actually wants. And he's willing, to pay the price for the same. Now, of course, once they were willing, and that is the Hittites, to give him the property in their own region, Abraham reveals a particular property in mind. He gives them the bit of details of the property that he was interested in. In fact, he singles out one called Ephraim. Ephraim was the son of Zohar, and he asks to purchase a cave of his east of Mamre at Mecca. That is at Macapella. It was actually in Macapella. So they start a negotiation. It starts to take place, couched in the tradition of the customs of the Middle Eastern people and the bargaining techniques. Ephraim offers to give the cave to Abraham with a field attached to it. Abraham, he sort of insists paying for it. Remember, Ephraim offered it for free. He sort of gave it to him for free. He said, "Oh, Abraham, I'm going to give it to you free of charge. You don't even have to pay. It's all yours. Just, bury your dead." But hey, Abraham, he says, "No, I'm not going to take something that is totally free." In fact, he insists that he wants to pay for it. And he does that because probably in case in future there is any disputes around that property, if it was free, it becomes a bit more complicated. But if he has actually paid for it and he has a deed for it, it's less complicated in future. So Abraham, he insists. He says, "No, no, no." Just like Moses, who said, "I will not give to the Lord that which has not costed me." He says, "I want you to tell me how much it will cost that I should pay you for it." Ephraim, dismissively mentions the price of 400 shekels of silver for the cave and field. Of course, this is way it was so overpriced compared to, to the price of land at the time. But Abraham immediately sort of agrees to the deal. Much as he knows he's being cheated in the deal, but he still goes ahead and he agrees. He pays out of the price on the spot, there and then, in view of all the assembled Hittites. In other words, he wants everybody to see that he has actually paid for the land, sort of a witness. Very quickly, the transaction is concluded and signed off by the Hittite elders in Genesis 7. That is in 7 to 18 verses, as we'll study more details there. Abraham, finally, he buries his wife, Sarah, in a cave, and now, which he now owns in the promised land of Canaan. Later on, Abraham himself will be buried there in the same place. Then Isaac will also be buried in the same place. Then Rebekah was Isaac's wife, will also be buried in the same cave. Same for Jacob and same for Leah. Without a bird of any kind, the people of God have begun their domination and occupation of the land that has been promised to them by God. As we did read, or we shall read more details in Genesis 23:19 to 20. That's the bit of a summary of what we're going to be looking at today.